that was the last thing I wanted to mention to you. It's like it's the reframe of selling, right? Like realizing it's being of service, and also recognizing like, you know, you were having this conversation that, you know, I may not be like a natural entrepreneur or whatever the case. First off, I think we need to have a bigger conversation of what that looks like, what that means, according to who, what is that, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. I think that conversation needs to be bigger somehow, because I think a lot of times we have these avatars of what it looks like. And of course, even for myself, like sometimes I think if I go back to like our ancestral days, I'm like, what was an entrepreneur back then? You know, and the only thing that I've really come up with is like they were probably the hunters, right? They're like going out to go get the food and take down the woolly mammoth. I don't know what they were doing, you know what I mean? But like, you know, maybe that's why there's that tension, you know, that we're just like, would I have been the one to go out slaying the woolly mammoths? Probably not, you know what I mean? But I know dang well I was babysitting all your kids because someone had to go hunt and gather, and it wasn't going to be me. But your kids are fine, you know what I mean? So there's this tension of like entrepreneurship in the modern world in relation to our ancestral times, but at the same time, like I hold the tension of like, where do we fit in the tribe? You know what I mean? Like where do we fit in the tribe in today's modern terms and languages? But also at the same time, maybe we just never been given the chance to be hunters. And now that we have this thing called the internet, it's giving us that opportunity to do so. And so I think the reframe again is like thinking like you stumbled upon this because it was a process of elimination. You're just like, I don't want to work for them. I don't want to work for that. I don't want to serve these people, all of these things. So then just recognize and reflect that like you've already pared this down for a reason. And you said, I'm going to do it regardless. Because maybe, you know what I mean? You're like, you could have been a part of other people's tribes and let them do the hunting and be the salespeople, right? But that didn't feel fitting for you. But again, recognizing, and I want to reiterate, this is the reason why when I was in my course, by the way, I graduated. Just so I graduated like 2 weeks ago, which that was a whole thing on its own. Talked about putting a fire to the, you know, I had to buy a ticket to be like, get it done, you know? And I think that's the thing about money. And the thing that we need to reframe is that the money, the exchange is like blood. You mean it's going to replenish itself. You give blood, it's going to replenish itself. You give it, it's going to replenish itself, right? And so, but really when we are charging for our services and being of service of something, like they say like self-development is for ourselves, business is for other people. You know what I mean? So it's like we need to charge. Self-development is for ourselves, business is for other people. Right, we get into business because we want to serve other people. If we just wanted to be like, oh, I want to be self-serving, we'll go continue to read our self-help books, right? Which I love. It's fine. But I think for me, the switch is the money exchange is so that we both show up. Like, what is both a price that we can smile about? You know what I mean? Because if I'm not smiling about you wanting to give me cheap prices, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't translate. No one's gonna show up. There's no accountability. You know what I mean? That's why when it's free, it's like, I could just go to the next one. But like, the more you put down, the more accountability there is for both sides of the party. So that's why it's like us not charging our prices is actually a disservice to both of us, because we're not gonna make it a top priority. So I think that's, for me, moving into finally entrepreneurship, I'm just like, I need to reframe, and like those limiting beliefs, these money belief systems that I need to work through coming from immigrant parents, like this is what we need to have a bigger conversation about. And lastly, again, I would not have chosen to reach out to you if I didn't think that your service was valuable and that you're serving a population that obviously you've already process of elimination. I wouldn't have wanted to collaborate with you and support you in this process because I know how needed it is, you know? So I'm gonna tell you this as your friend, someone, we've been doing this for over a year. Break through this fucking wall and just keep going. Just keep going. Because you're so needed. Seriously.